My parents stayed rent-free in my duplex. Then they insisted I trade it for my brother because he deserved more. They even toured my home behind my back. Little did they know, I'd already sold the whole building. You know, I always thought being a good daughter meant sacrificing everything for your family. Turns out, it was almost my biggest mistake. Can you believe your own flesh and blood would try to push you out of your home, behind your back? Because mine did. And the way it all unfolded? Absolutely shocking. 6 months ago, I was Maggie, an engineer with a steady paycheck and a quiet life. I'd just bought a duplex, a fixer-upper, in a perfectly lovely neighborhood right outside Portland. It wasn't my dream home, but it had potential. 2 identical units, separate entrances, a shared backyard. The real estate agent kept hyping the rental income, but honestly, my heart was set on something else entirely. My parents were struggling. Dad had lost his job, and Mom's part-time library gig barely covered groceries. I thought, this is it. This is how I help. Mija. We can't accept this, Mom said, her voice laced with that familiar mix of pride and worry as I showed them the back unit. She was already inspecting the kitchen cabinets, a critical glint in her eye. It's too much. It's not charity, I told her, trying to soothe her pride. Think of it as an investment, in family. Dad just stood in the doorway, hands in his pockets. Your mother's right, Maggie. We raised you to be independent, not to take care of us. But they moved in anyway. Of course they did. The alternative was my younger brother Chris and his girlfriend Nina in their cramped 1-bedroom apartment. That would have lasted about 2 days before someone got murdered. The first month? It was almost perfect. Mom planted herbs in the backyard, making it smell like summer. Dad fixed little things around both units, always puttering, always busy. I felt a deep sense of accomplishment, like I'd finally done something truly meaningful with all my hard work. But then, the comments started. The morning light is so much better in your unit, Mom sighed during our weekly coffee, a wistful note in her voice. The back unit feels like a cave sometimes. I stirred my coffee slowly, a prickle of annoyance starting to form. They're mirror images, Mom. The layout is exactly the same. She waved a dismissive hand. Maybe, but yours faces east. It makes such a difference. The next week, it was, your kitchen has more counter space. It didn't, I measured. Well, it feels bigger, she insisted, then quickly added, but we're grateful. We don't want to seem ungrateful. My best friend, Emma, saw right through it. They're going to take advantage of your kindness, she warned me over lunch. That's what family does. I scoffed. Not my family, I insisted. They're just adjusting. Emma just gave me that look, the one that screamed, you sweet summer child, without her even saying a word. But life settled into a routine. I'd wave to Mom when I left for work, help Dad with yard work on weekends, and pretend not to notice the growing list of complaints about their unit. The unspoken rent, which was $0, was never mentioned. But the free maintenance, the utilities, the Wi-Fi, they became expected. Demanded, even. Never appreciated. Then came the day my front door was slightly ajar. My heart slammed against my ribs. I always lock up. Always. I pushed the door open slowly, scanning for a break-in. Nothing seemed disturbed. My TV was still there, my laptop untouched on the coffee table. But something felt off. In the kitchen, I found it, a glossy pamphlet sitting on my counter. Creating the perfect nursery from dream to reality. The cover showed a perfectly staged baby room, soft yellow walls, white furniture. I don't have children. I'm not pregnant. I'm not even dating anyone. Mom, I called out, walking to the connecting door between our units. Did you come into my place today? Just for a minute, Mija, her voice drifted through. I was looking for the measuring tape. I thought you might have it. What's this nursery pamphlet doing on my counter? A long, pregnant pause. Oh, Nina must have left that. Chris and Nina stopped by earlier. My stomach dropped like a stone. They were in my unit. Just for a moment, Nina wanted to see the layout. You know, they're thinking about starting a family soon. I stood there, pamphlet clutched in my hand, trying to process what she wasn't saying. Why would my brother's girlfriend need to see my layout? Why were they measuring things in my home while I was at work? Next time, I said, my voice unnervingly steady. Please don't let anyone into my unit without asking me first. Maggie, don't be so dramatic. We're family. Family. The word that was supposed to mean everything, but somehow always ended up costing me something. I looked down at the pamphlet again, at the perfect little nursery someone had apparently been imagining in my space. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. Girl, you need to see what Na just posted on Instagram. I had a feeling my quiet life was about to get very, very complicated. Nina's Instagram story showed her spinning in what was unmistakably my master bathroom. Future home tour. Read the caption, complete with heart emojis. The cream-colored tiles I'd picked out myself were clearly visible. I replayed it 3 times, my jaw clenched, before calling Emma. Tell me I'm not crazy, I whispered when she picked up. You're not crazy, Emma confirmed, her voice tight. That's definitely your bathroom. What the hell is going on? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again. It was from Chris, but clearly not meant for me. Mom says Mags will cave once we explain. She's always been practical about these things. My hand shook as I screenshot it. A second later, sorry sis. Wrong chat. Rage simmered. I marched straight to my parents' unit and knocked hard. Mom opened the door, already wearing that defensive expression, the one that said she was prepared to explain why whatever she'd done was actually for the best. We need to talk, I said, walking past her into their living room. Dad was in his usual spot on the recliner, pretending to be absorbed in his crossword puzzle. About what, Miha? Mom asked, trying to sound innocent. I held up my phone, showing Nina's video. About why my brother's girlfriend is giving tours of my home on social media. Mom sat down, smoothing her skirt. We were going to discuss this with you properly. Chris and Nina are ready to start a family. They need more space, and your unit would be perfect for them. The back unit is fine for one person. You're always at work anyway. The casual way she said it, like she was suggesting I swap parking spots, not give up my home, made my chest tight with disbelief. Let me get this straight, I said, my voice barely a whisper. You want me to give up the unit I own, that I pay the mortgage on, so Chris can have it? Not give up, Dad finally spoke, still not looking up. Trade. You'd still have a place to live. A smaller place. A darker place. The place you've been complaining about for months. Mom waved her hand dismissively. Those were just observations, not complaints. Besides, Chris needs. I cut her off, my voice rising. What about what I need? You're established, Miha. You have your career. Chris is just starting out. Nina wants to be a stay-at-home mom. They need the support. And I don't. I bought this place. I give you a free place to live. How is that not supporting family? That's different, Mom said. She trailed off. I'm what? I pushed. You're fine on your own. You always have been. The words hit like a physical slap. I'd heard variations of this my entire life. Asterisk, Maggie's fine. Maggie's strong. Maggie doesn't need help. Maggie can handle it. Asterisk, and Chris isn't fine on his own? He's 27. Mom, when does he start handling things himself? Family helps family, Dad muttered from his corner. Really? I snapped. Is that what this is? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like family takes advantage of family. Mom's face hardened. You're being selfish. This isn't just about you anymore. Think about your future niece or nephew. My theoretical future niece or nephew needs my specific unit. The one I bought, the one I live in? Nina has already picked out paint colors, Mom said, as if this settled everything. She has such vision for the space. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The sheer absurdity of it all, the entitlement, the assumptions, the complete disregard for my feelings. It was either laugh or scream. No, I said simply. No, I'm not trading units. No, Chris and Nina aren't moving in here. No, this conversation isn't happening. Mom's eyes narrowed. Just say you don't want us here. I wanted you here. I wanted to help. What I don't want is to be pushed out of my own home to make room for your favorite child. That's not fair. Neither is this. I walked out, ignoring Mom calling after me. Back in my unit. My unit, I called Emma. How bad, she asked. Remember when we were kids and Chris broke my science project the night before it was due, and somehow I ended up apologizing to him? That bad? Worse, I sighed. They're acting like I'm selfish for not giving up my home to my baby brother. Emma was quiet for a moment. You know what this means, right? What? It's time to stop being the good daughter and start being smart. Get out of your feelings and get into your bank account. I stared at the nursery pamphlet, still sitting on my counter. What do you mean? I might know someone. A real estate agent named Kingsley. Want his number? I thought about Chris's text, about Mom's dismissal, about the measuring tape in my home. Yes, I said. I think I do. The motion detector alert pinged on my phone at 2:17 p.m. I'd installed it that morning, a small, inconspicuous device pointed at my front door. Now, sitting in my office cubicle, I watched the live feed as Chris and Dad slipped into my unit. Are you sure she's at work? Chris's voice came through clearly. She never comes home before 5, Dad replied. Where's the measuring tape? I turned up my phone's volume, my hands trembling. Got it. Nina wants to make sure a king bed will fit in here. The camera caught Chris stretching the tape across my bedroom wall. Mom said Maggie will come around once we explain the baby thing. Your mother has a way of handling her. Dad chuckled. Yeah, Mags always caves eventually. Remember when she gave you her car in college? The Toyota? Chris laughed. Your mother convinced her you needed it more for your pizza delivery job than she did for her engineering internship. Good times. He paused. Hey, do you think these closets are big enough for a nursery conversion? I clicked off the feed, my coffee turning sour in my stomach. Emma's desk was 2 cubicles over. I messaged her, need lunch now. 20 minutes later, we sat in her car, parked behind the office building. I showed her the video. Those entitled little. Emma cut herself off. Please tell me you called the police. And say what? My father and brother used a key my mother gave them to measure my bedroom for furniture they'll never buy. Point taken. She pulled out her phone. But I'm calling Kingsley now. This is getting creepy. The real estate agent you mentioned? He's handling several properties on your block. There's this investment firm buying up buildings. They're paying above market if you can deliver vacant units. Vacant. I watched her dial. You mean kick out my parents? I mean, stop being a doormat and start being strategic. She put the phone on speaker. Kingsley answered on the second ring. His voice was smooth, professional. Emma, perfect timing. How's your friend? Ready to talk numbers, Emma said, giving me a pointed look. Excellent. The firm I represent, Reed Scott Investments, is very interested in your area. They're paying premium prices for multi-unit properties, especially duplexes, but they need them empty. I thought about the measuring tape, about Nina's Instagram tour, about Mom's dismissal of my feelings. How premium are we talking? He named a figure that made me choke on my iced tea. That's significant, I managed. That catches the timeline. They want to close fast. 3 weeks, max. Both units need to be vacated before closing. Emma muted the phone. Think about it. You could buy a nice condo with that money. One with a view. One without entitled family members measuring your closets. I unmuted. Can you send me the paperwork? I'll email it today. Just remember, discretion is key until we're ready to move. These deals work best when everyone finds out at once. After hanging up, Emma studied my face. You okay? I don't know. This feels justified. I was going to say terrifying. My phone buzzed. A voice memo in the family group chat. Chris's excited voice filled the car. Mom, Dad, I can't thank you enough for making this happen. This is my first big step toward real adulthood, and I couldn't do it without you guys. Nina is already planning the baby's room. Emma raised an eyebrow. Still terrified? I played the message again, letting the entitled confidence in my brother's voice wash over me. He hadn't even bothered to remove me from the chat. That's how certain they were I'd cave. Send me Kingsley's email, I said. Back at work, I couldn't focus. The property listing Kingsley sent showed my duplex from the street, a modest building with good bones and a fresh coat of paint I'd paid for last spring. The offer letter waited in my inbox, the cursor blinking on the signature line. My phone buzzed again. Mom, Maggie, come to dinner tonight. We need to discuss some necessary upgrades to your unit. Nothing major, just some changes to make it more suitable for a young couple. The audacity stunned me into laughter. They weren't even pretending anymore. I typed back, "Sure, Mom. Happy to talk about changes." Then I opened Kingsley's email and signed the preliminary paperwork. Emma messaged me, "Did you do it?" "Just signed." "Is it wrong that I feel nothing?" "Nope. That's your self-respect growing back." I looked at the family chat again. Chris had sent another voice memo. "Can't wait to give this place the update it needs. No offense, Mags, but your style is a little basic." My fingers hovered over the phone, tempted to tell him exactly how basic he'd find apartment hunting with no free options. Instead, I closed the chat and emailed Kingsley. "Paper signed. Let's make this happen." Sometimes, the best revenge isn't allowed. Confrontation. Sometimes, it's a quiet signature on a document no one sees coming. Kingsley's office was exactly what you'd expect. All glass, chrome, and expensive coffee. He wore a tailored suit that probably cost more than my first car and smiled like someone who knew the value of everything. "Reed Scott is very interested in your property," he said, sliding a folder across his desk. "Location, condition, potential. It checks all their boxes. And they really need both units empty. Company policy. They're planning significant renovations." He paused. "I understand there might be some personal complications." I thought about the text Mom had sent that morning. "Nina's parents want to see the nursery space next week. We'll use your spare key." "No complications," I said, opening the folder. "Just timing." The numbers made my head spin. The down payment alone could fund a decent condo purchase. The full amount? It would let me buy something outright in a better neighborhood. 3 weeks is fast, I said. That's why the offer is so generous. Reed Scott values efficiency. He tapped the papers. Of course, if it's too rushed, it's not. I reached for a pen. Where do I sign? As I scrolled my signature across multiple pages, Kingsley explained the process. The deposit would clear in days. The full payment would be ready at closing. All I had to do was ensure both units were vacant. "How do you usually handle the notification process?" I asked. "Typically, we post formal notices once the deal is firm. But given your unique situation, you might want to handle it differently." "You mean, tell them myself?" He shrugged. "Sometimes it's easier to let the paperwork do the talking." Back at work, Emma brought coffee to my desk. "Well, is it done?" 3 weeks until closing. "How do you feel?" I stared at my computer screen where an email from Mom sat unopened, suggestions for your unit upgrades attached. Like, I'm either the worst daughter in history or the first sane person in my family. "Try option B," Emma perched on my desk. "Have you started looking for new places?" "Found a few possibilities. There's this condo downtown." My phone buzzed. "Chris." "Hey sis. Nina's parents are coming by next week to see the place. Mom said you're cool with it." I typed back, "Sorry, busy with work. Can't make it." 3 dots appeared as he typed. "No worries. We have keys." The casual entitlement made my decision even easier. I opened Mom's email. The attached document was titled, "Necessary Changes for Chris and Nina's New Home." The list was extensive. Remove all personal items from master bedroom. Nina needs a clean slate. Paint walls neutral colors. Current colors too dark. Replace shower head. Chris prefers rainfall style. Install new closet organizers. Nina needs more shoe space. Remove office desk. Nursery space. At the bottom, Mom had added, "We can start on these this weekend. No need to thank us. We're happy to help." Emma read over my shoulder. "Oh, hell no." "It gets better," I said, scrolling down. "They've created a timeline for my move to the back unit. Apparently, I should be out by the end of the month so they can prepare the space properly for Chris and Nina." The end of the month. That's 1 week before the actual eviction notices go up. Talk about karma. I closed the email without responding and pulled up local real estate listings. A corner unit caught my eye. 12th floor, city views. No family members with spare keys. "That's the one," Emma said, pointing at the screen. "Look at that balcony." My phone buzzed again. Nina had posted another Instagram story. "Can't wait to transform this space. Sorry about the current decor. Previous occupants' taste was a bit basic." The previous occupant. That's what I'd become in my own home. I clicked the contact button on the condo listing and scheduled a viewing for that afternoon. Want company? Emma asked. Actually, yes. I need someone to remind me I'm not crazy. You're not crazy. You're just finally standing up for yourself. I glanced at my phone as another message came through. Dad, this time. Your mother's put a lot of thought into these upgrades. Don't make this difficult. Don't make this difficult. The family motto, at least when it came to me. Asterisk, give in. Go along. Don't rock the boat. Asterisk, I turned off my phone and grabbed my keys. Let's go look at my future home. One without a guest key under the mat. Emma grinned. Now that's the spirit. As we left the office, I felt lighter than I had in months. In 3 weeks, they'd learn what happens when you push too far. In 3 weeks, I'd be free. But first, I had a condo to buy and a poker face to perfect. This sauce is delicious, mija, Mom said, helping herself to more pasta. Though the kitchen in the back unit doesn't have enough counter space for proper cooking. I smiled and refilled her wine glass. Family dinner. My last one in this house, though they didn't know it yet. 2 weeks until closing, and I'd mastered the art of nodding along. I've been thinking about what you said, I told her, watching her face light up. About the unit swap. Chris nearly choked on his garlic bread. Really? You're okay with it? Well, you know what they say. Family first. The words tasted like vinegar. Nina clapped her hands. Oh my God, this is perfect. I already have paint samples picked out. And wait until you see the nursery mood board I created. Dad looked uncomfortable, like he always did when things went too smoothly. That's very generous of you, Maggie. It's nothing, I said, standing to clear plates. Just let me think about the timing. Later, after they'd gone back to their unit, I checked another item off my secret to-do list. Host last family dinner. Next up, remove name from utility bills. My phone buzzed with a text from Kingsley. Paperwork finalized. Reed Scott confirms closing date. Notices go up in 1 week. I'd already moved most of my important stuff to a storage unit. The condo downtown was mine. Bought with the deposit money. Keys already in hand. Emma had helped me move boxes at night, careful not to raise suspicion. Mags. Chris's voice came through the connecting door. Can I come in? Sure. I quickly closed the moving checklist on my phone. He entered, looking around my half-packed living room. Just wanted to say thanks. This means everything to us, of course. I gestured to a box. Just organizing some things. Need help packing? He picked up a framed photo of us as kids. Man, remember when I broke your science project and you still helped me finish mine? I remember. You've always been the responsible one, the steady one. He sat down the photo. Mom says you're fine with moving next week. I kept my face neutral. Still working out the details. Nina's parents are coming Sunday to see the place. They're so excited about having their grandchild grow up here. My phone buzzed again. Kingsley, eviction notices printed. Ready when you are. That's great, I said, sliding the phone into my pocket. Everything's falling into place. Chris hugged me, something he hadn't done in years. You're the best sister ever. I promise we'll make this place amazing. After he left, I went to change the locks on my back doors. Another item on the checklist. Through the window, I could see Mom in her kitchen, probably planning more improvements to my space. Emma called while I was working on the locks. How's the poker face holding up? Oscar-worthy. They're planning a nursery in a home they'll never live in. When do the notices go up? 1 week. Right after Nina's parents' grand tour. I finished with the lock. Mom sent me another list of demands today. Apparently, my kitchen cabinets need updating before Chris moves in. The audacity is almost impressive. You should see the mood board Nina made. She's planning to paint over the walls I just redid last year. How's the new place looking? I smiled, thinking of my downtown condo. Beautiful. No family, no drama, just peace and quiet, and no spare keys floating around. Exactly. My phone chimed with a group text from Mom. Great news. We invited Nina's parents over to see where the kids will raise our grandchild. Sunday at 2. Maggie, please make sure your unit is presentable. I typed back, can't wait. Emma snorted. You're evil. No, I'm practical. Isn't that what they always said about me? Another text from Mom. We'll need to start moving your things to the back unit next week. Chris and Nina want to paint before the baby furniture arrives. I didn't respond. Instead, I looked at my checklist. Change locks, remove valuables, transfer utilities, host last dinner, secure new home. Only one item remained. Watch it all unfold. Nina posted another Instagram story. Sunday's the big day. Can't wait to show everyone our future home. I saved the story. Something to look at when the guilt crept in, though surprisingly, it hadn't yet. Maybe because every presumptuous text, every entitled demand, every boundary crossed had slowly killed whatever guilt I might have felt. One more week of pretending. One more week of nodding and smiling. One more week until they learned what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. I turned off the lights in my almost empty home and went to bed, dreaming of karma in the form of eviction notices. The eviction notices went up at exactly 9 a.m. on Monday. I heard Mom scream from my unit, followed by rapid pounding on my door. Maggie, open up. I took a deep breath and opened the door. Mom thrust the notice in my face, her hand shaking. What is this? Some kind of joke. I made a show of reading the paper. Notice of eviction. Property sold. 3 weeks to vacate. I looked up. I got one too. This can't be legal. Chris burst through the door, Nina trailing behind him. They can't just sell the building. Actually, I said they can. I already called the number on the notice. Dad appeared last, his face ashen. What did they say? Some company called Reed Scott Investments bought the whole building. They're renovating both units. Nina started crying. But the nursery. We had everything planned. I'm sure we can figure something out, Mom said, patting Nina's shoulder. Maggie, call them back. Tell them you own this unit. Owned? I corrected. The sale's already final. Chris grabbed his phone. I'm calling a lawyer. They can't do this to us. Right on cue, a sleek black car pulled up outside. Kingsley stepped out, briefcase in hand. Perfect timing, I said. That's the real estate agent. We all watched through the window as Kingsley approached, looking every bit the professional businessman. He knocked on the door. Good morning, he said when I opened it. I represent Reed Scott Investments. I see you've received our notices. Mom pushed forward. This is a mistake. My daughter owns this building. Former owner, Kingsley corrected smoothly, opening his briefcase. The sale was finalized last week. I have the paperwork here. Chris snatched the documents, scanning them frantically. This can't be, wait. He looked up at me. These are dated 2 weeks ago. You knew about this. I kept my face carefully neutral. I got the same offer you're holding. Reed Scott has been buying properties all over the neighborhood. Why didn't you tell us? Nina demanded. Would it have mattered? The offer was too good to pass up. Mom's face went from red to white. You sold it without telling us. Like how you were giving away my unit without telling me. The silence was deafening. Kingsley cleared his throat. The terms are quite clear. Both units must be vacated within 3 weeks. Reed Scott is prepared to offer a modest relocation allowance to assist with moving expenses. Relocation allowance? Chris laughed bitterly. Our whole future was planned here. Your future, I said quietly. In my home that you measured behind my back? Understanding dawned on Dad's face first. Maggie, the notices are legal, Kingsley continued. All paperwork is in order. I suggest you use this time to secure new housing arrangements. Nina burst into fresh tears. But my parents already bought us nursery furniture. It's being delivered next week. I'd suggest canceling that delivery, I said. Mom stepped close to me, her voice dropping to a whisper. You planned this. You're no longer our daughter. Funny, I replied, just as quietly. I stopped feeling like your daughter when you decided my home belonged to Chris. Kingsley handed out information packets. These contain local rental listings and moving company recommendations. Reed Scott appreciates your cooperation in this matter. Chris crumbled his packet. This isn't over. We'll fight this. Feel free, Kingsley said. Though I should mention the sale contract is ironclad. Miss Valdez's lawyer made sure of that. All eyes turned to me. You had a lawyer? Dad asked. Me? I learned from the best, I said. Family first, right? Nina stormed out, followed by Chris shouting about lawsuits. Mom stood frozen, clutching her eviction notice like a lifeline. 3 weeks, Kingsley reminded them. After that, any remaining occupants will be removed by law enforcement. Dad took Mom's arm. Come on, Yolanda. We need to think. They left without looking at me. Kingsley waited until they were gone before speaking. Cleanly done, he said. The closing documents are ready whenever you are. I nodded, watching through the window as my family huddled in their unit, probably already plotting their next move. You know they'll try to fight this, he warned. Let them try, I said. I learned something important recently. What's that? Sometimes the best revenge isn't just serving karma. It's serving it with proper paperwork. He smiled and headed back to his car. I closed the door on my empty unit, feeling lighter than I had in months. My phone buzzed. Emma, did it happen? It's done, I typed back. Freedom comes in 3 weeks. How do you feel? I looked at the nursery mood board Nina had left on my counter last week. Like I finally grew a spine, I replied. And it feels amazing. Moving day arrived with a screech of truck brakes and the thud of boxes. I stood with Emma on the sidewalk, watching the movers empty both units. Mom and Dad's furniture went into a storage unit. They'd found a small apartment across town. My remaining things headed straight to my new condo. They're still not speaking to you? Emma asked. Chris tried serving me with lawsuit papers yesterday. His lawyer took one look at the sale contract and dropped the case. A crash from inside made us both jump. Nina stormed out, mascara running. This is all your fault, she screamed at me. We had everything planned. You had my home planned, I corrected. There's a difference. We're family. Family doesn't measure rooms behind each other's. Facts. She threw her hands up. It was just measuring. We were trying to plan our future in my house without asking because we knew you'd say no. Exactly, I watched the movers carry out the couch I bought last year. And that should have been your answer. Chris appeared behind her, looking deflated. Come on, Nina. It's not worth it. Not worth it. She whirled on him. Your sister just destroyed our future and it's not worth it? Our future. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. You mean the future where you redecorate my home? Raise your kids in my space? And I what? Disappear into the back unit like a good little sister. You're just jealous, she spat. Jealous that we're starting a family and you're alone. Emma stepped forward, but I held up a hand. I'm not alone, Nina. I'm free. There's a difference. Free to what? Live in some soulless condo while we struggle to find a place. You could try paying for one, I suggested, like I did. Chris grabbed Nina's arm. Let's go. We need to finish packing. This was our only shot, she yelled at him. Your parents promised us this place. It was never their place to promise, I said quietly. Nina jerked away from Chris. You're just a little boy who never grew up, she snapped. And I'm done waiting for you to figure it out. We watched her storm to her car and peel away from the curb. Chris stood there looking lost. This was supposed to be my chance to prove myself. Prove yourself by taking what's mine? You always had everything figured out, he said. The good job, the house, the plan. I figured it out by working for it. Try it sometime. He shook his head. You don't understand. Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad what? Promised you my home? Taught you that taking from me was okay? Made you think you deserved what I worked for? They just wanted. I know what they wanted, I cut him off. They wanted you settled, comfortable, taken care of. And I was supposed to make that happen by giving up everything I built. A moving truck pulled away, leaving the driveway empty. Through the windows, I could see Mom sitting in their bare living room, staring at nothing. You should have paid for your own future, I told Chris, instead of trying to steal mine. He walked away without responding, shoulders slumped. Dad came out next, carrying a small box of photos. Your mother kept every school picture, he said, not quite looking at me. Even the ones where you wouldn't smile. I wasn't much for faking happiness. Even then. He shifted the box. We really thought you'd understand about Chris needing a chance. I understand perfectly, I said. I just stopped agreeing. Mom appeared in the doorway. We're ready, she told Dad, ignoring me completely. They got into their packed car without another word. As they pulled away, I saw Mom wipe her eyes. Emma touched my arm. You okay? Honestly? Yes. I watched the last moving truck disappear around the corner. It hurts, but not as much as letting them take everything would have. Want to go see your new place? No family drama, no entitled siblings, no measuring tapes. I smiled. Actually, I want to do one last thing. We walked through both empty units. My footsteps echoed in spaces that had once held so many dreams, theirs and mine. In what used to be my bedroom, Nina's paint samples still clung to the wall. Nursery yellow and baby's breath white. I peeled them off one by one. Ready? Emma asked from the doorway. Ready. Outside, I locked both doors for the last time. The keys would go to Kingsley tomorrow, along with the final paperwork. Hey, Emma said as we walked to my car. Remember what you told me when you first bought this place? What? Family is everything. Funny how things change. I looked back at the empty duplex. Family is everything, I agreed. Until it costs you everything. The city lights sparkled through my new floor-to-ceiling windows as Emma poured the wine. My condo felt different from the duplex. Cleaner, lighter, like the air itself had been filtered of guilt and obligation. To peace purchased in cold cash, Emma toasted. To measuring tapes and karma. My phone buzzed. A text from Kingsley. Reed Scott just listed the duplex. Asking price is double what they paid. Wow. Emma peered at the screen. They're not wasting any time. Good for them. I scrolled through the listing photos. They'd already gutted both units, stripped away every trace of the life I'd built there, the dreams my family had tried to steal. Still no word from any of them. I set down my phone. Chris sent a drunk text last week. Something about Nina moving back home to her parents. Apparently, she's done waiting for him to become an adult. And your parents? Mom blocked my number. Dad sends one-word responses to holiday messages. It's actually peaceful. A notification popped up. Nina had untagged me from all her future home posts. The nursery mood board disappeared from my feed like it had never existed. You know what's funny? I said, walking to the window. I used to lie awake wondering if I was being too harsh. If maybe I should have just given in, moved to the back unit, let them have their way. And now? Now I sleep just fine. Emma joined me at the window. Below, the city moved in its usual rhythm. People going places, building things, making their own way. I ran into your mom at the grocery store, Emma said quietly. She was comparing prices on canned soup, living within their means for once. She asked about you. Pretended it was casual, but I could tell she wanted to know if you regret it. What did you tell her? That you're thriving. That your new place has amazing natural light. Emma smiled. That karma doesn't always knock. Sometimes she signs title paperwork. I laughed, remembering Mom's face when Kingsley showed up with those eviction notices. Think they learned anything? Chris did. He's working 2 jobs now, trying to save for his own place. No more waiting for handouts. My phone buzzed again. A number I didn't recognize. The text read, "It's Dad. Got a new phone. Your mother won't admit it, but she misses you." I showed Emma the message. Are you going to respond? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe when they're ready to see me as an adult with boundaries, not just a resource to exploit. And if they never are? Then I'll keep enjoying my view. Emma refilled our glasses. Remember in college when Chris borrowed your car and crashed it? Your parents made you split the insurance deductible with him because family helps family. God, I'd almost forgotten about that. You haven't forgotten anything. You just stopped accepting it. The city lights blurred slightly as I blinked back unexpected tears. I miss who I thought they were, the family I wanted them to be. But not who they actually are. No, not anymore. Another text from Dad. We made mistakes. Big ones. I watched the cursor blink, waiting for more. Nothing came. That's new, Emma said. Admitting mistakes. Too little, too late. I put the phone down. They can keep their regrets. I'm keeping my peace. The moon rose over the city's skyline, casting long shadows through my new home. No measuring tapes here. No nursery plans. No guilt. Emma raised her glass again. To boundaries. To consequences. To finally putting yourself first. My phone lit up one last time. Kingsley, Reed Scott got an offer on the duplex above asking price. Karma's profitable these days. I smiled and turned off my phone. Let Reed Scott have their profit. I got something better. Freedom. You know what the best part is? I told Emma, sinking into my new couch. I don't have a spare key hidden anywhere. She laughed. No more surprise tours. No more surprise anything. Outside, the city hummed with possibility. Inside, my space stayed mine, measured only by my own dreams, decorated only with my own choices. The guilt had faded, replaced by something stronger, certainty. They say home is where the heart is. But sometimes, home is where you finally learn to protect your heart, even from family. Especially from family. So, tell me, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you had to draw a hard line with family, even when it meant risking everything? Or maybe you've been on the other side. I'd really love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's talk about it.